historical fencing. That means a lot of things to a lot of different people. At our school, we study the rapier as our main tool, and we try to base our theory off of the Francesco Marcelli treatise to add a historical context to it. But we're always open to learning more because we are in the modern day, so we are impacted not only by history from 300 or 400 years ago, but what we see in front of us. We just don't deny any of that. We try to receive that information and add it and apply it to using with rapier dagger, arming sword, rapier and cape, rapier buckler, or single sword.
I did Olympic fencing in my youth for close to a decade, and I still had that competitive itch. Fencing has always been the thing that has kind of ticked that box for me, and I knew I didn't want to get back into Olympics, so I looked up HEMA and I found this club specifically, which focuses on rapier, and I knew from the first moment I walked in this was going to be the sport for me moving forward.
I started in 1998 with sport fencing. I started out in foil like most everybody else. I quickly gravitated towards the saber, and I worked up within 4 years. I was able to qualify for Division I at Olympic sport fencing. Of course, I don't want to deny having any of that experience as well, and I couldn't imagine anyone from a historical context in the period who wasn't always out there searching for knowledge. So I'm always trying to learn, and in addition to that, I'm always poring over, of course, the historical treatises.
The way Tim teaches his class, I mean, he explains the historical knowledge as far as how these were used in the 15 to 1600s or earlier or backwards, the evolution of the sword, and what the Olympic sport fencing has gained from basically combat fencing.
Marcelli's family is a family of maestros from 1500 all the way through the 17th century. And his book that he published in 1682 really is a combination of his family's form of fencing. It's a Neapolitan style of fencing. And even in modern fencing today, you see a lot of Francesco Marcelli's actions coming to life, even now. And the fact that you could open this book from 300 years ago, I think there's some magic to that. To be able to open it up and be able to study the heck out of it and make these actions from this archaic book come to life.
I like how they're constantly taking these old styles and genuinely testing them with rigorous swordplay and sparring. So we can kind of see the wisdom of where these people are talking about and see how it actually works in a dynamic setting instead of just on a page.
I wanted to do something a little different. When I found the rapier, I was absolutely smitten. The rule set is basically hit without being hit. That's incredible because with Olympic fencing, I was like, some of the rules were a little bit more like sporty compared to a duel. And so I just gravitated towards the history style of fencing because of that risk factor.
This is, in my opinion, one of the highest levels it can be because we do a style that is like the evolution of fencing. We have a lot of background in Olympic fencing, but we're doing it with the real swords.
So then I was like, you know what? I want to start a fencing school that as long as you have a job and you're trying to be productive, you'll have enough cash in your pocket to be able to pay for our dues, because our dues are purposely not as expensive as, say, sport fencing or even other HEMA clubs. I really wanted to give everyone a chance, hence all for one, to be able to enjoy fencing because fencing changed my life.
So I joined because I initially loved combat, video games, all that sort of stuff, especially medieval games. And eventually I went online, found HEMA, looked for a school in my area, got in contact with Tim, and I've noticed my athletic performance has gone up tremendously.
We'll teach you from the ground up, or if you're an advanced fencer, we'll give you a run for your money.
My life went from black and white to Technicolor, and there's no way of it ever going back. I stay fit, I eat better, I get to check that competitive itch that I think all of us have inside of us. I think when I'm inside the ring and the whole world goes away and it's just me and the guy in front of me, and it's, hit, don't get hit, everything seems so much more simpler. It's the biggest adrenaline kick I've ever had, ever.
So the classes are Monday, Wednesday. We fence from 7:45 to 8:45, and that's where we have our practical. Basically, our classes, anything from footwork, blade work, private lessons if you want to show up a little early. And then after the class, we then spar till until we're too tired to spar anymore.
Come on out, it's awesome.
So I would definitely recommend this to other people. It is so much fun.
Got to meet a lot of really cool people. It's a good way to stay healthy.
If you're a little bit of an escapist or you're a competitor and you like combat, martial sports, things like that, you could do a lot worse than fencing, especially rapier fencing.
Any questions that anyone might have, just message us. We'll get back to you as soon as we can. This is not our day job, so certainly please be patient, but we'll get back to you, and certainly all for one, everyone's welcome, and look forward to hearing from you.
Yes.